Hello, welcome to your weekly astrology transit update. Well, we got kind of a tough aspect we're just running into right away this week, and I'm going to back up one day so we can see it. The sun is a lovely time when it moves into Leo. It's the ruler of the sun, and it's time to shine, and it hits up against Pluto. So yesterday, um, Monday, the 22nd, we have the sun going into Leo, and you see it there, right here at 0 degrees. Just a little bit later in the day, 35 minutes, but it runs right up against, opposes Pluto at 0 Aquarius. And there's quite a bit of interesting, um, tense aspects with this. And I want to share with you. Let me switch this. Okay. Stop that. I want to share with you one of my favorite books. This one is by Robert Hand, Planets in Transit. And this is just a great book. But this is pretty much, it's talking about the natal chart. But I still want to read you because it makes a lot of sense, just even in the mundane, because he hits on so many nails on the head. I just really liked it. So he says, this transit, it's like this transit is to your natal, like if this is, the Pluto or the sun is opposing, opposition Pluto. But anyway, it can be, like I said, for any purpose, but you'll get it when I read it. So this transit indicates rather intense encounters with other persons and circumstances, which will reveal many aspects of your life that you may not have understood or may have chosen to ignore. In particular, this transit signifies that you may have a power struggles with others, right? Pluto, especially persons in authority, sun, in which you will be forced to stand up for your own position. More of the sun, right? Your ego, you got to stand up against that shit. On the other hand, you must avoid being overweening or domineering, because such an attitude will only create conflicts that you will probably lose one way or another. You may encounter breakdowns in relationships such that you have to face the other person directly and forthrightly in order to get the difficulty out in the open. Only by thoroughly airing all grievances and making everything very clear will it be possible for you two to get past your grievances and establish a new beginning in your relationship. So just spread this out. So it's not just poignant on this, but just whatever you're encountering now, or was maybe going yesterday or even Sunday, into now. And then it'll go after. A lot of times this follows after. And this is at 0 degrees. So if you all have anything, I like to give the sun a pretty big orb. I give it maybe 6 to 8 degrees either side. So it could be from, the max 22. You're probably feeling something if you got 22 degrees something, but closer to 0, 25 will feel it, 28 will feel it worse. And then on the other side, going to maybe 6 or 8 degrees on the other side, you're going to definitely feel it. So machinery breakdown, repairs, certain things that have been limping along will have to be fixed. Patching up will not suffice. On the other hand, this transit is by no means, it could be maybe difficult and bad. It depends on how it's maybe aspecting you. If it's a hard aspect, a square, maybe the direct conjunction or an opposition or an inconjunct, it's going to suck. If it's a trine or sextile or just not anything close, it's probably not so bad. Anyway, it can be a time when your ambitions and the forces for creative change in your life reach culmination. You'll be able to make many sweeping and fundamental changes that you did not have the power, Pluto, to make before. So just make sure that the changes you're trying to bring about are for the larger good beyond your own, and that you need to seek the aid of others to bring them about. This is not a good time to go it alone because you would likely encounter more opposition than you can handle. Be careful not to place yourself in situations where you can be subject to force or violence. Avoid places with high crime rate or take precautions if you must go into such areas. Sometimes you can inadvertently draw violence into your life without knowing why. All right, so this is pretty hard hitting, and it's definitely something to be aware of. This is, one of them nasty kind of aspects that just makes things suck. I mean, in my own life, I've You have to deal with a lot of power struggles, dealing with people that are obstinate, that don't want to, they won't comply, then they expect you to clean up their mess, so it's a bit of like, hey, if you don't do this, then you make your bed, you sleep in it, I'm sorry, so that kind of a thing. And it's tough, and people suck sometimes, especially when you get aspects like this. So I'm just going to say it and vent for anybody that may be needing to have that said. Okay, on the lighter side, because we're going to move past that. On the lighter side, um, get your crap done this week. We've got some optimum moon periods, between some of the void of courses, but they run right into each other, and I'm not going to really bog you down with the details. Just kind of be on it through most of this week, getting your stuff done, getting things in place, because Mercury is slowing way down. And it's going to go retrograde in the beginning of August, I believe, like on the 4th. So any new projects or anything you need to get going, get it going, because it's going to stall, and it's going to be a problem to get things moving until the beginning of September. So get as much started and given a push in the right direction, and then for the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks, maybe even into 6 weeks, because it takes a little while to get moving. You're going to be redoing things, and I just loathe the next part of that. But anyway, it is what it is. And, forewarned is forearmed. If it's going to rain outside, wear a raincoat or take something, an umbrella or something, right? Don't wear your nice leather shoes, something like that. So that's what this is all about. Okay. So we got moving into this week. That's the big thing. I think that's the biggest part of the week. And then knowing that you got to get your stuff done before Mercury goes retrograde. So that's, that's basically how it's going to roll. And this week we start, with a Pisces. We start with a late, as yesterday we started with, into Aquarius, but this is today, the moon moves into Pisces. And I think it's going to just make things more confused and frustrated, as one of my mentors, Dusty White, says, is, the mutable person always wins. They will just muddle things up so bad or fuzz things out, you get frustrated and have to leave or change or move, but that Pisces is just, the ultimate expansiveness before it all starts over again. So this kind of leads us from this power struggle with the sun into this, could be confused, frustrated, or it could, if we let it could be expansive and like, all right, I'm not going to bother. That's just putting too much energy in that direction. I've just got to expand out and take another tack, because that energy of the sun opposition Pluto is just so rank. It's so aggravating and aggressive and frustrating that that's what makes you sometimes want to punch something or break something or slam the door really hard, things like that. And then that expansiveness starts to set in, and it's like you're reaching nowhere, you're getting nowhere with somebody, you're looking at a blank face or a blank stare, or I don't get it, just that kind of energy. So it just doesn't roll. But I think as we get on into the Pisces moon, I think, then it's going to aspect Saturn, which will be, I don't know. I just think these next few days, I'm trying to sugarcoat it, but I can't. I think they're going to be shitty, really. I think the moon, when it goes over Saturn and then it goes over Neptune, it's just going to suck. It's going to muddle things up, and it's going to not, things aren't going to comply. So I think it's just sort of like you've got to duck our heads and wait for it to change, basically. When the moon, on Thursday, when it moves into Aries, is when you get a breath of fresh air. So I think we just got to keep our heads down and try not to engage and get aggravated more than you can, or than you have to. Or if you can put things off or postpone, I would. Usually, in Aries, I like to get it done, let's do it. But it's like this, I would say defer. Take another tack until that, because this emotion, it's gonna be emotional modelness, just modeling and more kind of, let me just puke my emotional puke all over you kind of energy. Oh, I don't really mean to make it this harsh, but it's coming out anyway. again, forewarned is forearmed. So I think we're gonna have a really sucky emotional moon for a little bit. So kind of stay disengaged. Here it is on Wednesday, getting, just went over Saturn. After the moon conjunct Saturn, it's like around 4:30 East Coast time, that we start getting into a little optimum period. So we do get a little bit of the clouds parting, and you get a little hit on getting some intuitive flashes here because of this. We still get some of that Piscean energy, some of that moon energy. So we could glean some of this like right in after it moves over frickin' Saturn. Okay. And then take advantage of it as it's going over Neptune, that intuitiveness maybe. So excuse me, here we are on this was 6:30, and it was like a couple hours before that it went over Saturn. So Wednesday, in the evening, East Coast, you can calculate it going west or east. It'll be better. It'll start getting a little better. But then it'll be nice that the moon will then go over when it goes into Aries, will be nice, on Thursday. Um, and then it conjuncts the North Node. So that could be really good. Maybe that inner that little bit of inner introspection that we get the day before can pull some enlightenment on things for you or for all of us, whatever particular to us. And then it hits then it goes up to the North Node, and we can maybe call in some fresh air, some new change, some, stick to your guns, and maybe we'll get a new Aries kind of like, oh yeah, let's do it again in a different way, get creative, inspired after we get out of all this muddled muck crap for this next couple days. Okay, Friday. Venus gets a little sucky aspects because then now she's going to be in quincunx over to Saturn. So there could be a little bit of follow-up tough love going on here. Because Venus is not happy. I mean, she doesn't mind being here, but when she's over, making that quincunx over to Saturn, it's just kind of sour. It's just going to be something like trying to rain on your parade, maybe, with that. And then Mercury too. Mercury is going to also it's going to be a quincunx over to Pluto. Look at it because it's in the sign after Leo, so it's going to be the 150 degrees here. So I don't know. This day, Friday, could be some interesting words. I always think Mercury communications, and then Virgo is just, going to get to the depth. It's exalted and in its rulership there. So it's just a really elevated place for Mercury. And then in a bad mood over there with Pluto. So it could be the tattletale here. It could be, because Virgo is going to be like, look, it's not right. This is going to be right. I'm going to tell. Blah blah blah. So this kind of thing can come out. It could be information on the depths of things. It could be deep information coming out, and we already know that. I mean, the floodgates of information are opening up now. I mean, just with the attempted assassination, how much more facts is coming out on that? And there's just a ton of things. I mean, everything from, oh my goodness, Mike Adams did a great thing on the ballistics. Alex Jones is on top of it with all his analysis and all his connections and all the people that are giving him information on InfoWars. Oh gosh, I can't think of there's a lot, but there's a couple there. What's that guy's name? There's a couple of people that are forming a group of gosh, I just heard it once. A group of military veterans that are going to force the Texas sheriffs to do something different. So I know they want people. They're saying they want people to that have any information on all kinds of stuff to be whistleblowers, and they're going to give them an amnesty period to do that. I think that's pretty interesting, and getting sheriffs involved. So anyway, stuff like that. That's depthy. That's gutsy. That's deep. That's organized. The Pluto in conjunct, or the Mercury in conjunct Pluto, however you want to say it. It's usually say the faster planet. But anyway, more of that stuff is coming out. All the people are reading the WikiLeaks documents. There's so much social media sharing. I mean, there's billions of views on things, and it's just going like wildfire. But I do have to say, we did have that cybersecurity thing, and that's going to be more. there's going to be more cyber hacks, and I believe all this is planned, and this is all spy versus spy. We've already covered a lot of this. But anyway, just to expect more of that, and it's already, it was already coming out, and there we have some of our more mercurial, yucky aspects. All right, just heads up. Make sure you do backups. Make sure you have things backed up and on hard drives and things like that. Okay, we're on Friday. I told you about that. We did that, and then the sun, or where is it? The moon. It's like halfway through Aries there. And that makes a nice trine over to Venus that day, about 18 degrees. So we do have a moon Venus trine. So I think, being in the fire signs and the moon is in Aries, can be a little edgy. It can be a little, Venus is going to be given that moon energy of like, I think it's a continuation of that feeling empowered, with that sun and opposite of Pluto that we started the week off with. I think it's passing the baton over to Venus to stand up and have some gumption. And while Venus is there, it's going to be a little more dramatic, a little more over the top, a little bit more vocal, or a little bit more dramatic. Yeah, just things are going to act out that way in all of our personal pursuits. And then there's another void, of course, on that day. Starts at 6:15 Eastern time. And then we do have a little bit of a break to, make some practical movement on things before Mercury slows way down. You can see it's slowing way down. All right, moving into Saturday. Moon moves into Taurus. It's kind of nice there because it's making us more security oriented, more, we might want to do more food and garden, or pay attention to your house, or pay attention to making things nicer or more secure. Which is a good thing. But now when we do that, we're going to get squares. So the moon moves, as soon as moon moves into Taurus, it's going to square over to Pluto. So there's going to be something there too. Something, what are we talking about here? Like 6:30 East Coast time Saturday. Could be some crappy kind of, emotions coming up, especially at those early degrees. If you have things, either late degrees or the early degrees, you could be feeling it more. Feeling maybe at odds with something of a power, or maybe it's going to make you come to power. But then the moon also trines over to Mercury at that, at first it hits, goes trine Mercury, then it goes square Pluto, and then it goes square the sun, as it goes up, a couple hours later, it'll square the sun. So we got some, we got the nice one with Pluto, I mean, with Mercury, the tattletale. But we got kind of crappy ones with Pluto and the sun, and there it is. Again, the moon now is involved in Pluto, and then with a square, and then the moon will be involved with the sun, a square. So that's just going to bring up more of that Pluto sun opposition that we started the week off with. That's why I wanted to kind of start with that, because we're going to feel its resonance, or feeling it echoing more through the week as the moon triggers. It's going to hit that degree. It's going to be a trigger. Boom, boom, more crap. It's like, instead of jump how high, it's crap on me. Yeah. Or crap I can deal with. Can I help shovel crap out of the world, out of the way? Maybe we got to take a little different tack on that, and make sure you have a raincoat, goggles, and a shovel, and something to cover your nose. So, there's just gonna be a lot of it, and there's just, it's just got to pile through it, and we got to try to do it in as good a way as possible. And I know when a lot of this stuff happens, we have to vent it out. It's just offensive, But I think breathing, maybe chanting ohms, and different things to help calm the body down really helps. And I think it's a concerted effort to do those, to maybe go do 5 deep breaths, when you're all upset and mad, or something's challenged you or unnerved you or knocked you off your base. I guess, I'm speaking for myself as well. How fast, it's maybe you got to give yourself a little game. How fast can I get back on my game? How fast can I get back on my mark? How fast can I get back to my own balance and calm, cool, collected, cool, sensitive, awesome person? How quickly can I go from being an asshole to that? Or for being frustrated and aggravated and angered and put out to that? you know, ideally it'd be like that, but sometimes it's minutes and hours and days. So, my thoughts and love are to everyone that's experiencing aggravation and frustration and up against power struggles, because I know how hard this is. These times that we're going through are some really challenging times and issues, and although we repeat a lot of certain things line up in certain areas that sometimes just makes things worse. It sort of just puts salt in a wound. So yeah, we're all facing a lot of things, and I think it's really important to just try to get back to compassion as quickly as we can as these days that go by, because there's some trying periods. And then when the sun's in Leo, it's a dramatic, passionate time that's just going to kind of rile everything up. If you haven't been speaking out, you're going to speak out about certain things. It's just that dramatic time of the year. All right, Sunday. Well, we got the moon makes a sextile over to Saturn. So that's going to be like, yeah, it's going to be like your work and duty and responsibility. And won't that feel too bad? But then the moon squares Venus. So it's like, oh, so you're going to go do that instead of take me out, like what we said? What? Kind of, or you're going to have to do with that crap instead of what we plan to be nice. This is getting in the way again. Or, deal with the responsibility and put off the things that you want, maybe, because that's Venus. The moon, your emotions, you know uh are squaring the sun, is what our ego, what we want. We want to do it, but when the moon, and it's at that quarter square, and it does it every month and all the time, but just in those signs, it's like this is the time of year where the sun is in Leo, and then this time of the month when the moon is squaring it, when it's in Taurus, sun in Taurus, I mean moon in Taurus, um and then it goes on that square over to the sun. And it was earlier this day here, earlier on Sunday. But anyway, it's that. I'm sorry if I misspoke. Um, but it will square Venus too. See, look, it's like as soon as it gets to, first it squares the sun earlier, and then it squares over to Venus, the moon. So we got, our ego and what we want are going to be gone, kind of raked up a little bit with that emotional Taurus moon. We want some security on something, and then we're going to get drama. All right. Stick to your guns, but try to be nice. And Monday, luckily the moon moves out of all that trippy stuff and goes into Gemini, and it's going to be a little bit more off the wall, but it's going to co-join Mars and co-join Jupiter, and it'll be like a little bit more of a breezy, cool down energy to a kind of an exasperating week. I don't think we're going to get a break till Monday next week. Yeah. So that's it. And we're getting ready to look at Mercury, still going real slow. Yeah. So get your stuff done and then get ready to redo stuff. It's like, okay, that's the time to get take the such and or other in to get it fixed, or clean the houses, get rid of stuff, take, all the stuff you don't need, clean drawers, clean closets, get rid of things that are in your way, redo stuff that has not worked the first time or whatever, and you got to redo it again. This is a time to do all those things. All right. Hate to be Debbie Downer, but this week was just kind of like that, just keep your sanity about you. I think it's sometimes good to know. And again, if you have things at those degrees, it's going to be worse. And if you don't, it'll be better. Easy as that. And we'll meet up next week here, next Tuesday, the July 30th, with this horoscope, or with this horoscopus. All right. Thanks for listening. Talk to you all next time. Bye for now.